Good evening, everybody. It's Apex to Asphalt, March 9th, 2026. Thanks so much for joining us. Darryl Kinsey Jr., Christopher Lehman here with you tonight. The NHRA season opener countdown finally hit 0 as we went live in Gainesville for the Gator Nats and the start of the 75th season for the NHRA. Monster Energy Supercross had an awesome triple header in Indianapolis, while Amsoil Snowcross went back west to ERX Motor Park in Elk Park, Minnesota. IndyCar and NASCAR had a doubleheader in Phoenix. Not to be outdone, Supercars in Formula One had their doubleheader in Melbourne. I sat down with ANZR Racing's Echobit to talk about the upcoming Star Citizen Crux Cup races, and we'll have a look at the calendar to see what's next up this weekend. Christopher Lehman is here. We'll get to all of that and more as we pay some bills. Sit tight. Be right back.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the iSports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop, including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
All right, it's time to get on with the program here at Apex to Asphalt. Darryl and Chris here with you this evening. And Chris has had an unfortunate run-in with FedEx this week, trying to get a new Max Verstappen Lego over to
Not
his
Lego.
house. Oh, it's not Lego?
No, it's the Japan livery from last year.
Oh, yeah.
The cherry blossom.
Yeah.
Yeah, Denny is not delivering. Because if he was, it'd be here.
Yeah, well, they stopped sponsoring Dennis a while ago, and apparently that's part of the story. And maybe they could get your car there faster if they still had that sponsorship.
Yeah, it's been held up in Memphis, Tennessee for about 2 weeks now. So
2 weeks? Lord have mercy. I didn't know it was 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah, I'm starting to get, really pissed. But today, they finally let me open up a claim on it. So,
okay.
But I guarantee that they will not settle me enough to replace it, because those things are already sold out, and now you're in the eBay market, which is never cheap. So a little pissed off at you, FedEx.
So at this point, they've lost it.
I would have to think so.
It sounds like, yeah.
Because the notification that I'm getting every day is just a standard, they do it every 24 hours type of deal. And it just says that it's been released by customs, but it was not released on time to make the next plane or truck. And it's been saying that every day at 4:30 a.m. for the last week and a half. So,
okay. Yeah, they definitely lost it.
I don't think I'm getting it back.
Yeah.
Well, getting it, which is kind of pissing me off.
That sucks.
It is what it is.
So we'll go ahead and get into the Gator Nats, the start of the 75th season for the NHRA. And my storyline coming in was, how would the NHRA look without the Force family, as we lost one of the, well, at least as far as driving is concerned, we lost one of the Mount Rushmore families in the NHRA in the Forces. And they continued their winning ways a little bit, as in Top Fuel, Josh Hart picks up the win. But Chris, the story in Top Fuel Maddie Gordon for Ron Capps Motorsports. Her first time out in the car. She makes it all the way to the semis from number 15. So a great run for her to get to the semis. Unfortunately, gets taken down by Josh Hart on his route to victory. You're muted.
Sorry about that. I was typing. Unfortunately, I was quite busy. We actually had a weather break this week, so it was beautiful weather up here. So I did not get to. NHRA is about the only thing I did not get to watch this week, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
So, but how did it end up being without a force? It had to have been different.
It was different, but you get to the business of racing, and I think it helped because John's been gone for a while after the accident at Virginia.
Has it been 2 full years?
Yeah, it's been 2 full years since that accident now.
That's kind of crazy. It seems like last year we reported, saw it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Time flies.
Brittany, though, was tougher because we saw her run her final season. Didn't get a chance to go for the championship with Pomona getting rained out, but it's going to take some getting used to. But John is still around at the track, so he's not completely gone.
Yeah.
And his cars are still winning, so it's like he never left, to be honest.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, in Funny Car, and this might be a little touch of karma, Austin Prock, who made news by winning the championship, then immediately taking him, his father, and the entire team to Tasca Racing this year, basically leaving John Force Motorsports John Force Racing in the lurch. Prock fails to qualify for the race in Florida for the Gator Nats. Meanwhile, his replacement, Alexis DeJoria, gets to the final. Now, she did lose to Chad Green in the final, but that is that is one big scoop of karma to suddenly leave your old team, go to your new team, DNQ, and the driver that replaces you makes it to the final.
That's good.
In Pro Stock, Matt Hartford defeats Greg Anderson. And in Pro Stock Bike, Richard Gadsden, who we talked about a lot last year, continues his winning ways. He takes the win in Pro Stock Bike. NHRA will continue in a couple of weeks with the Arizona Nats, but the NHRA is underway, and with that, the motorsports season is officially underway at this point. Chris, I think everybody's started up.
Yeah, I think so too. Just trying to think. I mean, other than Supercross ending, motocross starting up, but that's not for a little while anyway. But yeah, I think that's everybody.
Yeah, we'll have boats getting started here in a little bit.
Yeah, boats.
Yeah, we've already had an F1 race as far as F1 boat race, and we have a couple other series that are going to be getting started here. But the 2026 racing season is now in full swing, and we now go to Monster Energy AMA Supercross. They were in Indianapolis. It was a Triple Crown, and Chris, they put on a show.
Hell yeah, they did. My gosh. It was great. I know you were quite busy on Saturday, so you did not get to catch much of it. But oh my God, the 250s put on a show. The 250 East. Cole Davies swept all three for the 250s. But they put on a hell of a show. Him and Joe Shimoda, they are definitely our Hayden Deegan, Levi Kitchen for the East Series. And I'm so excited to get to a East-West showdown to see those four go head to head, because it was just great. Yeah, I mean, we can just go race by race. Start with the 250s and work through it.
Yep. So we'll go to East race number 1. Daxton Bennick on the Husqvarna gets the whole shot in that race, but Cole Davies is a god amongst men in the whoops. He's a man after my own heart in the whoops section. Passes Joe Shimoda a lap in, and then on the following lap takes a lead from Bennick and then just walks away from everyone. Pierce Brown was the points leader coming in, but he has an issue after lap 1, works his way up to P10, and Cole Davies, Joe Shimoda, Seth Hammaker are your top 3 in race number 1. We move to race 2, where Jellic Swole takes the whole shot. Shimoda and Davies makes things fun as Shimoda keeps Davies at bay everywhere, but of course the whoop section where Davies just owns right now. Seth Hammaker crashed early. He does not get the podium in this race. Davies and Shimoda go at it for the rest of the race, pretty much as it says here in the notes, Chris. Little shades of Hayden Deegan and Levi Kitchen in how they got on Saturday.
Yeah, these two just race 2 was where they did a little cat and mouse too. Davies he is so fast through the whoops. He's really, as far as people who blitz the whoops go, he is by and far the best. Shimoda, he tends to be a little bit of a jumper. But Cole Davies, he just blitzed. He would take the outside line coming around the corner, going into the whoops, and then he'd just stick right to that outside right. And he just blew by everybody. I mean, he must have had 40 passes through that whoop section. It was insane. And with it being a Triple Crown, you had a lot of wear. So even the guys like Eli Tomac is a big time blitzer. That's his preferred driving style. But you got to think that when we're doing a Triple Crown, it's race after race after race after race, and the grounds crew has about 5 to 10 minutes to get out there and try to fix the track up a little bit. And so these whoops get worn down, and so blitzing just with the ruts gets so hard to do that even Eli Tomac had to switch it up, and he started jumping because you had to. But Cole Davies, at no point did he ever jump through. He blitzed the whole time. He is a madman.
Well, he ran away with it, ends up picking up the win with Davies, Shimoda, and Pierce Brown on the top of the podium. At this point, Davies takes the season points lead with Shimoda and Brown now tied for second spot.
Yep.
And then race 3, Jellic Swole again with the whole shot. And Chris, what was your thought here?
So going back to what I just said about the wear on the track, now we're into race 3, which is technically the 5th race of the day. And at this point, like I had just said, the whoops are just ground right down. They're rutted up really bad. And I wanted to see what Davies does. Before I watched the race, I just assumed, okay, he's going to have to start jumping and he's going to lose his ability to just blitz. Because in race 4, going back to what I said about Tomac, he's a blitzer, but he ended up jumping through. And Davies he went, and after the broadcast ended, or the race ended, the broadcast team went out and they just showed what Davies was doing. And he had about a 6-inch patch right up against the tough blocks. Mm-hmm. He had about 6 inches where he was putting his bike every time, and he had his own line. And I mean, you're talking about one step out, and it is a completely different result for Davies. But I wanted to see, going into the race, I was like, okay, he's not going to be able to blitz through to quite the same success he had. What does this do for that conversation of, is Cole Davies faster than Hayden Deegan? And in the end, he didn't have to jump through the whoop section. He just kept it pinned, blitzed it, found a line that worked. So my thought going into it was, what does he do? And my thought leaving it was, my God, this kid just found a line and stuck with it. And it worked.
I cannot wait to see the East-West showdowns when Davies and Hayden Deegan finally meet up.
Yeah, and they did last year, but that's where Davies came away with his injury. Mm-hmm. So it's sort of like a rematch in a way, but hopefully Davies doesn't get taken out and hurt this time.
Yeah, we want to see Davies nice and healthy because we want to see this continue into the outdoor schedule as well with those two on the 250s. So race 3, Davies, Shimoda, and Brown, they all got stuck behind Devin Simonson at one point. Davies gets by him first. Shimoda gets stuck behind him, though. And it takes until Shimoda is about 5 seconds behind eventual leader and winner Cole Davies before he can clear Simonson. And Simonson put on a little bit of a Ryan Newman show of keeping Joe Shimoda behind him. Davies sweeps Indianapolis. Hammaker and Shimoda are on the podium for the second time, this time with Hammaker in P2, and Davies wins the Triple Crown in Indy.
Yeah. Yep. No surprise there. I had a good, I think everybody had a good feeling about him, but he takes the points lead coming out of Indy, obviously. So he's going to be running those red plates in 2 weeks, which will be nice to see.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely well-deserved.
So we'll shift over to the 450s in their Triple Crown. Race number 1, Jorge Prado gets the whole shot. Eli Tomac, though, gets a horrible start.
Yeah.
And ends up in 11th at the end of lap 1. Roxon works his way to the lead, getting past Cooper Webb on the whoop section. Tomac and Hunter Lawrence then get by Cooper Webb with 2 minutes to go. Webb has an issue as Tomac goes by and drops 5 seconds in half a lap. Tomac's foot slips off the peg with 3 to go, allows Lawrence through, and it's Ken Roxon who wins race 1 with Hunter Lawrence and Eli Tomac second and third.
Yeah, and that goes right back to what we were saying, or to what I was saying a few minutes ago. Cooper Webb got smoked on the whoops, and it's because in the 450s, the Yamahas were set up for jumping whoops. So in Heat 1, they knew they were going to get smoked. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. They had their suspension set for jumping whoops, which ended up being the case later in the night. But Cooper Webb had a really good early showing in race 1, and then he faded pretty quick. But I'm not sure what happened because he did drop like 5 seconds in one lap. So I don't know if he had some sort of issue or what. But that was a good race to watch. But not nearly as crazy as race 2.
And we're about to get into race 2 right now. Tomac and Lawrence probably tied for the whole shot. It was hard to tell. And then Roxon and Plessinger get tangled up. Plessinger got injured in that, so hopefully he'll be back soon. Roxon looks over his shoulder to see what's going on behind him, ends up casing a jump on the bounce, lands on Aaron Plessinger's head and shoulder. That's not good at all. Plessinger probably going to be down for a little bit after getting a bike on top of him.
Yeah, and my expletive rant in that part of the notes, maybe a little outdated, because they did go back and show, and Roxon comes around the corner, doubles up onto the table, and he just gets a little bit sideways. And so what I think he was trying to do is he wasn't going to have momentum to hit this rhythm section because they were right at the beginning of a rhythm section. And he wasn't going to have the momentum to be on the race line. So I think he was actually trying to get off the race line, and he kept looking back, which anybody who's heard me talk about Hayden Deegan knows that drives me nuts when people look over their shoulder. Which, by the way, I watched Cole Davies leading. These races were about 10 minutes. He led probably about 25 minutes of racing, and never once did I see him look over his shoulder. Mm-hmm. So please take note, Hayden Deegan. You do not need to look over your shoulder. If you are the fastest on track, don't bother. But, so Roxon ends up looking over his shoulder, and Plessinger, it's just like a blind spot. Like when Roxon was down, Plessinger was up, and then vice versa. And so Roxon looks back. He kind of cases one of the jumps, and as he looks back over his shoulder, Plessinger's going down, landing onto the good side of the jump that he cases. Roxon kind of bounces up, and then just as Plessinger's going up the front face of the next jump, Roxon's coming down, lands right on his shoulder. And Yeah, Plessinger did not race 3. He didn't finish race 2. I mean, he's down and out. He had enough adrenaline running through to get himself off the track, like his body run away, and then you could see he was in some pain.
That's unfortunate. Hopefully we'll see him back for the outdoor season, but we're just hoping that the injuries aren't serious, and we'll keep you updated with information as we get it. We run into some lap traffic issues. Eli Tomac nearly gets taken out by Vince Freeze while trying to lap him. The next lap, Hunter Lawrence is also nearly taken out by Cole Thompson. So the lap guys were not being nice to our leaders on Saturday night.
Yeah. Yeah, that was Tomac had his issues, Hunter Lawrence, and Cole Thompson, he got punted right off the track into the net too.
Mm-hmm.
And Cole Thompson did not race in the third race either. He and Plessinger were both out. But yeah, these lappers were absolutely a menace. And I think that's part of what made the racing so good was that these guys did have to contend with that lap traffic, and that lap traffic. I do have to say that it is on lap traffic. The grounds team, the track guys did have blue flags out. These guys knew leaders were coming through. But in the after race 2 for the 450s, the blue flags got a lot more apparent, just because you had 2 instances within 2 laps where a lapper almost took out one of the guys contending for a podium finish. So yeah, and I mean, Justin Cooper, I think Justin Cooper was going to get the win anyway, just because, going back to what I was saying about the Yamahas being set up to jump through the whoop section, whereas like Tomac wants to blitz them.
Mm-hmm.
So, but Justin Cooper definitely should be sending a card to Vince Freeze and Cole Thompson for that, because he, instead of having to play defense and go with that to win, he was able to walk away with it.
Okay. So the podium in race 2 is Justin Cooper, Eli Tomac, and Cooper Webb. We move over to race 3, where Hunter Lawrence gets the whole shot, needs to have this one if he's going to take the win in the Triple Crown. The race was kind of, I would say, pedestrian compared to the other races of the night. Prado, Webb, and Cooper had fun for about 4 laps, but it is Hunter Lawrence, Eli Tomac, Ken Roczen that come home on the podium, and it's Hunter Lawrence that takes the win of the Triple Crown. And next up, East-West Showdown in Birmingham, Cole Davies versus Hayden Deegan in the 250s.
Yeah, versus Joe Shimoda versus Levi Kitchen. I cannot wait to see those 4.
Don't miss the 250s this weekend. If there's one thing you don't miss, it's the 250s.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so pumped for this. And I don't even know. It sucks that we have to wait 2 weeks for this. I really just want to get right into it. But yeah, I'm gonna hot take it next week, and I'm gonna say that Cole Davies wins.
He'll be the first person to take down our buddy Hayden Deegan if he does. But Supercross getting a well-deserved break this week, and they will be back next week in Birmingham to run to the end of the season. And it's really their only break all year, because once they get to racing in Lucas Oil Pro Motocross, it is every Saturday till the end of the year.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, we'll now move on to the AMSOIL Championship Snowcross, as they are coming into the end of their season, as it was 73 degrees here in Maryland today, and we are so happy to see that after the worst winter we've had in 23 years, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. It was like 66 degrees up here today. I was sitting at work like itching to just go home early and go start doing some yard work.
Yes. So let's get into our snowcross riders. We'll start with the women, the Pro-Am.
Wait a second.
Oh, wait. Yep. Thank you for correcting me. We got a pretty big announcement. Monster Energy was recently announced as a new partner in Amsoil Snowcross going forward.
Yep. So they were heavy with the endorsements in the commentary booth. They were very frequently talking about how thirsty they were and to stop down at the Monster Energy tent for a free Monster Energy. It was pretty funny watching these guys just do everything they could to get Monster Energy some shout time on the commentary. So that was great.
Yeah, so that was good for them, but as we now have a new entitlement sponsor there for Amsoil Snowcross. We'll start with Pro-Am women, of course. Avery Hemmer. She's on the race to the record, and on Friday, Chris, she hit a snag as Hemmer gets the whole shot, but gets a nasty wreck in turn 2. That opens the door for Sega Forcell to pick up the win on Friday. Yep. But on Saturday, Iana Hauger gets the whole shot. Hemmer ultimately wins the race.
No. Hauger wins the race, not Hemmer.
Oh, I see. Sorry. Hauger wins the race Hauger wins the whole shot, ultimately the race, and for the first time, I think, since the start of the season, Hemmer gets shut out in the win department.
Yes. Yeah, it was an off week for her. I don't know what went on. I think she might have got a little banged up on Friday, though. Mm-hmm. And you gotta remember, for anybody listening who doesn't know, Avery Hemmer in the Pro-Am women's is a 14-year-old rookie who, going into this weekend, had won 9 out of 10 races this season, coming into this weekend, winning 8 in a row. But again, she's 14 years old. So you take, and she had a pretty nasty hit on Friday. So, she might have there's a couple different things that could be going on, but her and Iana Hauger put on an absolute show on Saturday. Like that was good. That was, I was glued to the metaphorical TV, but the screen. That was a great race.
So Hemmer, at this point, she's got to sweep the last 4 to be the sole owner of the most wins in a season. That spot is 13. Current record is 12. She's already won 8 in a row this season, Chris. So there is a good opportunity that she can pull this off. But unfortunately, just this off weekend is going to make it a little bit harder going forward.
Yeah, and the current owner of the record of 12 wins in a season, Melina Katu, actually announced that she's pregnant this weekend with her first. So congratulations to her.
Congrats to her.
And I do hope I see your record fall. Nothing personal, but yeah, just some exciting stuff happening in the Pro-Am women's division in snowcross.
So let's go over to Pro Light now. We'll start with Friday, where Evan Christensen picks up the win over Eric Downs and Drew Freeland. Cameron Cole, who's the points leader, started P12, manages to come back for a top 5 finish. So great run by our by our championship leader. Cam Cole wins the whole shot, and then Eric Downs immediately dislodges Cole from his sled.
Yeah,
that's unfortunate.
It is, but karma is a B word, and she's coming back in about 3 bullet points for you, Darryl.
So Cole gets hit by a sled. Another one lands on it, gets tangled up. So Cole loses 2 laps in all of this. With 3 laps to go, Eric Downs with a 7-second lead. Downs decides to ease up, coming off the start-finish line table, lands awkwardly, gets tossed from his sled. That pulls the kill switch tether, and he had to restart the sled on his own. Topi Rin, who made his United States debut on the weekend, ends up picking up the win, with Eric Downs finishing second and Brandon Nelson in third.
Yeah. And great showing by Topi Rini too. First race weekend in the in the States, and he picks up a win in his second race. So that's pretty cool.
So now we go over to the pro categories to wrap up. The most exciting opening lap of the season. Jordan LaBelle and Daniel Benham have a great battle for P1, and then Emil Haar comes out of nowhere with a crazy aggressive line and storms off with the lead. At the end of that, it's Haar, LaBelle, and Benheim at P3. 2 laps later, Haar gets separated from his sled and goes all the way back to 13th. And then after that, Benheim has a mechanical retirement. He's out of the race. And Jordan LaBelle, Creighton Dillon, and Hunter Patnode are your podium in the pro category on Friday.
Yeah, that was a pretty exciting race. Lap 1 was great, though. That line out of Emil Haar was crazy. He did something that we didn't see all weekend, not in practice, not in any of the heats, nothing. He basically did one of those deals where you see in video games, you don't see it in actual racing, where, if you got a corner set up right where you can you almost jump and cut the corner. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you ever see those clips on like socials, but he just basically cuts over a corner and he just completely jumps the corner. It was the most crazy thing. If you watch snowcross, kind of how the corners are shaped. They're either, you kind of come into the corner, and I got to find my camera. And then as you're doing the corner, you kind of loop up. So the apex of the corner is actually up on a knoll, or you're down in a divot. And so he kind of doubles over the apex of the corner into kind of more of a downhill as you're taking your run to your first jump for the rhythm section. It was he really came from like 5th place to when he landed, he was in 2nd, and then by the time they were airborne into the first jump, he was in 1st, and then he just ran away with it. It was insane. I don't know how we came up with that line, or if it was just luck that it worked out, but my God, he passed like 4 people.
Yep. And then we get to Saturday, the pro race, and I got the screenshot of this one where Daniel Benham, he gets the whole shot. Hunter Patnode, though, emerges the lead after that. He loses the lead then to Emil Haar on the next lap. Haar runs away with it through the rhythm section. Lord have mercy. Jordan LaBelle, the points leader, gets from P11 to P5. Then gets thrown from his sled and DNFs. Creighton Dillon is hunting down Haar. He takes 3 seconds from his lead in 3 laps. And then I have the screenshot of this. Dillon is like, I'm not kidding, he's about 40 feet in the air on the final lap. I don't know how he didn't trip the radar at the nearby airport.
It was wild.
Unfortunately, it doesn't get him the lead, but it gets him the move of the year, in my opinion, as Haar, Dillon, and Patnode are going to round out the top 3 on Saturday. That puts Haar and Creighton Dillon on tie in a P2, or tie for P2 in the standings, with the tiebreaker going to Haar. And both of them are just 8 points behind Jordan LaBelle with 2 events, 4 races left in the season at Eagle River and Duluth, Minnesota. Eagle River next weekend, April 3rd and 4th in Duluth. Chris, is this shaping up to be one heck of a season ender for Amsoil Snowcross in the pros?
It really is. It's shaping up to be really fun, and the pro lights are great too. Those boys are putting on a heck of a show. But yeah, I mean, earlier this season, I mean, we're talking 2 rounds ago, I would say, probably back in Valcourt. Jordan LaBelle swept the weekend, and we were like kind of thinking, okay, this is LaBelle's to run away with. It's his to lose. And doesn't have a good weekend in Salamanca and follows it up with a not so great weekend here at ERX. And, what was, I think it was about a 25-point lead coming out of Valcourt is down to 8 points now. So he not doing great. And his brother, Dylan as well, who took that nasty wreck in Valcourt in the heat race. I believe it was a heat race. He hasn't made a main event since. And he sat out the rest of Valcourt, came back in Salamanca. So the LaBelle boys, I don't know what's going on, but it's not too great, with those guys at the Makita Ski-Doo camp. But hopefully they get their stuff figured out. But it's a wide open. I'm putting my money on Creighton Dillon, the rookie. I would love to see him get the championship. He just for that full send that he did over that start finish line, that was ridiculous because Emil Haar crosses the finish line. He's probably got no idea where Creighton Dillon is, and then he sees, a fighter jet over his shoulder gunning for him, and it was just wild. So, and Creighton Dillon, as far as a rookie goes, this kid's been killing it. Didn't have the best start to the season, but he's really putting it together now. So I want to see Creighton Dillon come away with the dub this year.
So we'll see how that goes when we come back. We're going to take our first break of the night. IndyCar and NASCAR had a duel in the desert. Later on, Echobit of Anzia Racing will be on to discuss the upcoming Crux Cup races that I will be a part of in a commentary capacity for at least one of those races. And we'll talk about that as Apex to Asphalt rolls on here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, Single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
And we're back here on Apex to Asphalt on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. It's time to head into the duel in the desert with IndyCar and NASCAR competing on Saturday and Sunday out there in Phoenix. And Chris, it was two different races, two different styles, but it was a lot of fun for both series.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about another doubleheader right after the next break too. It was a really fun weekend as far as kind of our top series go. But I love this. I love seeing NASCAR and IndyCar team up. It's been quite some time since we've seen them even within the same state as each other, much less sharing the same track. So I think it's great. And I do think that it's really good from a perspective of boosting or at least exposing a fandom of one series to another type of racing. For instance, Freddie B who joins us sometimes to talk IndyCar. He's not really the biggest NASCAR fan, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I know that he enjoyed. Him and his daughter went. They watched ARCA, and we got a lot of pictures of ARCA. He met Ryan Blaney the morning of the race, and so I think it does a great job of just kind of bringing the disciplines together and kind of exposing people to different things. So I really want to see more of this in the future. I do think that NASCAR and IndyCar would pair together quite well, doing this a little more often. Ideally at Watkins Glen, if anyone's listening.
I would love to get IndyCar back at Watkins Glen.
They're talking about it actually. I heard that they're actually looking at getting a race up here in the Northeast. So, would love it if they could do a doubleheader, Darryl. I think you got to come crash at my house that weekend so we can go.
Well, we'll have to see because I'm not going to be traveling by myself from then on. Unfortunately, well,
that's fine.
Fortunately, but
I think I live just far enough for cheap hotels, close enough that we could leave an hour before race time and make it. So I live about 35 minutes from the track.
Not bad.
No, not bad at all.
So we go into the weekend. We'll start with the IndyCar race. David Malukas led at the start, but it's Joseph Newgarden that ends up taking the win in what was a great race. Which a race that a lot of IndyCar fans were dreading, but I think racing after NASCAR put a lot of rubber down for practice and qualifying. And we had the ARCA West race on the Thursday. It put a lot of rubber on the track, and these Indy cars were able to take advantage, and they had 2 full grooves to play with, and they were going at it, but man, these guys going through traffic scares me on ovals.
Yeah, and is it IndyCar that I saw the graphic for that they had like 200 something total passes? Like 245, I think it was. Yeah. That's insane. Like insane. So, and maybe there is a little bit of science behind it with NASCAR coming in. They put down a lot of rubber on the track, and it just kind of goes back to, pairing up, and it made for very exciting racing. Saturday, I'm not going to say unfortunately because it was my son's 5th birthday party. So I am very thankful that I did not watch this race. Because I obviously would much rather be celebrating my son's birthday. But I did catch some highlights. I watched, I don't know, they put out like a 15-minute highlight reel or something like that. And the racing looked good. Like I was a little worried. I don't like Phoenix as a track overall. I don't think I've ever made that, or I've never hid that. But no, what I saw of it, it was really good, and I wouldn't mind seeing another doubleheader next year and going forward.
I would possibly like to see a second one.
At Phoenix, or are you saying just more doubleheaders?
I think more doubleheaders in general. I'm going to touch this one with a grain of salt, given the current political realities of it. With the DC track map coming out today, maybe doing it there, have NASCAR and IndyCar on the 4th of July. Well, they can't have it on the 4th of July weekend, but have it in August while everybody's gone, because Congress will be on break at that point. You bring NASCAR and IndyCar down here. If this race comes around next year, because I heard this might be one and done, and we'll get to that in a minute, because I have some comments that I think some people aren't going to like, but I got to voice it on this race. But we'll talk about it in just a bit. The big story coming out of this race, though, Chris, Alex Palou and Rinus VeeKay on the first restart of the race come together. Palou crashes, and the 622-day streak at the top of the standings for Alex Palou is over.
Yes. And that's a weird sentence to read.
Yes.
But had to end eventually. But yeah, I mean, and I don't, or what I should say is, I don't think that's going to be representative of the season as a whole. I still think Palou wins this championship anyway. I don't think there's really anyone that's ready to challenge him at this point. So I'm not reading this anymore as, it's early season. and you get caught up in something, it kind of messes your points up at the beginning of the season. But the kid is incredibly consistent, and early season, especially the first 3-4 races, anything can happen. You get wrecked out on one race, and things, you just drop in the points. But he'll be back.
So we will see how this goes for the rest of the season. Mick Schumacher also, first oval race, qualifies in the 5th spot, but they have an issue with the stuck wheel on the lap 75 pit cycle. That relegates him to a lap down. He ends up finishing 18th, but I think that was a situation where the number where he finished does not tell the entire story, as he had a great day.
Yeah, and I was excited to see what Mick would come do, and I would say that he is impressing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he got wrecked the first race, right? Yeah. He got caught up in somebody else's business, and so he didn't really get the chance to show himself and what he could do. And coming out and qualifying P5, and you know that if Michael's capable, he's watching. So that's kind of fun, thinking that as you're watching this, somewhere in the world, Michael Schumacher is watching it with you.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm excited. I think I'm overall pretty excited to see what Mick does this year. I think that this is going to be a much better series for him than, being stuck at Haas F1 team was going to be for him.
Yeah.
And we've seen that from Grosjean too. He came over after leaving Haas, and he didn't have the most stellar career over here, but it was a respectable one.
So IndyCar will continue their schedule in Arlington. That'll be this weekend in the Java House Grand Prix of Arlington. Currently going into that race, your championship leader is Joseph Newgarden in just 5 over Kyle Kirkwood. Scott McLaughlin has 66, Pato O'Ward 63, and Alex Palou all the way down in 5th with 59 points. I don't think he's going to stay down that low for very long.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we do have to. I'm just going to come out and say it as we go in. The DC track map has come out for the Freedom 250. That'll be in August. And I said I would try to give it a chance. I just can't. I'm sorry. And it all goes back to how this race got assembled. And I'm sorry.
And the track doesn't look that good either. It's a kind of a boring race.
Well, I can tell you from living here and being on those streets, I don't know how turn 6 is going to work, because that is it's supposed to be a dog leg. That is a median on Maryland Avenue that they would be making that turn onto. That is not wide enough for multiple race cars to go down. I don't know if they're going to rip that median out or what, but this is not going to work for race cars. This is not going to be a good race at all.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the DC area.
The course isn't very good. And it comes back, and even before we get to the course, and I will say this, I have to say it, the way this race came together and came to be is going to color it in a negative light. It's unfortunate. But once you got this race signed in by an executive order of the most unpopular presidential administration of all time, that has done pure evil to people that are not white and not straight. Let's call it what it is, what they've been doing over the last 2 years. You are now linked with what that administration does. It doesn't matter how you try to say you're just sports. You signed a deal with the devil. People are now going to look at you as the devil. And as I go through the comments today during my lunch break, Racer.com, Motorsport, even on Twitter, there are comments alluding to the politics of this, whether you like it or not. I wish IndyCar hadn't have done it this way, because now we have to talk about it. And you can't bury your head in the sand, especially now that we just blew up a school with 170 people in it, most of it children. And this is who IndyCar wants to connect themselves with. This is the box Roger Penske has put his sport in, trying to appease a dictator. And IndyCar is going to be forever linked with this. And this is a series that is already having issues bringing people in. This was an own goal that IndyCar did not have to do. And I cannot abide by this race going on. I will not be there. I probably will not watch it. I have no interest in this race going forward. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't really have anything to add to that.
Yeah.
Other than I agree with you.
I've been holding that one in for a while, as you can tell. And that was the nice version of what I could have said. So we're going to move on from that to get into NASCAR. Their races were on Saturday night and Sunday afternoon, sorry. Justin Allgaier defeats Jesse Love to take the win in that race. Jesse Love led 112 laps, but unfortunately comes home with second. Roger Carruth continues his impressive top 10 streak, this time in a Jordan Anderson racing car, as William Byron was in his normal car for JRM. And Anthony Alfredo also gets a top 10 before he has his cup duty on Sunday. And Chris, how's I know your favorite driver was out. Give us an update on his condition.
Yeah. So and just a quick kudos to you, Darryl. You did not say Xfinity this week, so
yay!
It took until March.
The show's not over yet.
Yep, we still got time. I'm gonna sabotage you. I'm gonna go down to the calendar for next week and write Xfinity series.
Oh Lord.
Yep. No, I guess that's all she wrote for the pizza party you pay for at the end of the year with the Xfinity jar.
Yeah. We're not going to have that much pizza at this point.
No, we each get half a slice. But at least in my neck of the woods, I don't know what pizza goes for down by you. But
we're not going to get into it. We'll get the crust. That's about it down here.
Yeah, that's the best part if you got ranch. So, kind of hearkening back to last week, Darryl, there was a big conversation about heat suits failing. And it wasn't even just NASCAR. This was also in supercars as well in Sydney. But Alex Bowman had left the race early, and Myatt Snyder obviously filled in for him. But Bowman went to the infield care center, got some fluids, and got some observation as well. AJ Allmendinger also spent some time in the infield care center after the race. He got fluids and was observed. And Coda was just hot. A lot of cool suits failed. And what we thought with Bowman was open and shut case of just heat exhaustion or some sort of heat related illness. But now last week, HMS announced that Alex Bowman was diagnosed with vertigo, and that as you had just said, Anthony Alfredo would fill in for him. But so vertigo, I'd like heard of it before, but I never really looked it up. But it's the sensation of spinning, tilting, or dizziness. And one of the causes is head or neck injuries. Mm-hmm. So as I was kind of like looking this up a little bit, so it's reported that Bowman got a concussion in Atlanta after he kind of took a hit to the driver's side door down the front stretch. But the symptoms didn't manifest until the physical and mental load at Coda. Mm-hmm. And so what we know about head injuries, and we understand it, especially because of the NFL and CTE, head injuries are compounding. So if we jump in the time machine and go back in the inaugural season of the next gen car, Kurt Busch and Alex Bowman both got concussions. Kurt's was career ending. Mm-hmm. Kurt Busch is only retired. Well, he'd probably be retired now. This was 2022, But Kurt Busch retired because of his concussion. It was a head injury. And Alex's season was ended because this was in the playoffs at Texas. He was still in the playoffs at this point. And I don't know if you remember that, Darryl, but he was out for like 5 weeks.
Yeah, it was a pretty bad concussion. I think he ended the season on the shelf.
No, he came back for Phoenix.
Okay.
Yep, he did come back for Phoenix. He was determined to get in the car one last time. But even then, like, it's one of those things. I don't know if he should have. And, also just thinking about head injuries, Dale Jr. also had head injuries. He's been pretty open about it as well. So head injuries in racing are a very real thing. And so, Alex sat out this week. He's been working through it. HMS has said that he's made some good progress. I don't know if he'll be racing next weekend, but obviously we're wishing him the very best. And Anthony Alfredo, filling in for Bowman, finished 33rd. So Alex has not had good results this season, and I would like Anthony Alfredo, who finished P10 the day before. I think his results speak enough about the car over the driver, because Anthony Alfredo, he's not a chump.
No. So we'll see how long Alfredo is in the car, and we wish Alex Bowman a speedy recovery. Hopefully this isn't the second person to get concussed out of the next-gen car. I think at that point NASCAR's got a serious problem on their hands.
Yeah. And it also makes you wonder how many drivers are getting concussions and just not getting diagnosed.
I would say a lot with the amount of hits that we've seen.
Yeah.
But in this week, so we go to the Cup Series race, and I swear Ryan Blaney passed the field like 3 times. He had a issue on pit road where he had to come back and pit a second time. Then he had a loose wheel. He manages to finally end up winning this race. Chris was right about a Penske car winning Phoenix, but Blaney had to work for this one.
Yeah, I was. I had the wrong car, but I did concede, and we could roll back the tape if we need to, where I did say that it might not be Logano, but it'll be a Penske car. Mm. I'd loved, actually, because we're going to talk about supercars after the break, but I loved Logano's DJR paint scheme.
It looks really good.
It looks better on a supercar. And I think they could have done better with the lights on the front. They should have did like white outlines, because you know how on the supercars they've got over where the front lights would be, they got the Repco shield over the light. Mm-hmm. I think they should have done the white trim, like the trim around the lights white, but man, that Logano car looked good.
It did look really good, and then unfortunately he caused a pretty big wreck.
Well,
Daniel Suarez got involved in that one. Austin Cindric, his teammate, also got involved in a pretty hard wreck himself. Bubba Wallace got a little bit of contact from that, but was able to continue and finish 6th after starting 28th. That 2311 team, 2 top 10s again this season. The 45, the win streak ends at 3, clearly, but another top 10, continues the points lead. Bubba only fell back to 3rd, is 2nd in points as far as stage points gained this year. Hasn't had a finish lower than 11th. And the only 2 guys to finish in the top 15 in all 4 races, number 45, number 23. Those cars are on fire going into the meat of the season.
Oh. I apologize. I'm sorry for. I happened to look at Twitter quick, and it says that F1 could revise the 2026 regulations as early as Japan.
They're going to have to, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit.
That was not expecting to see that tweet.
I don't think they have much of a choice.
I apologize. I didn't hear what you said, to be honest, but I read it twice to make sure I was reading it right.
Yeah.
And it was reported by motorsport.com, so there must be a little bit of truth behind it.
Yeah, just saying 23-11, they've had a great start to the season.
Oh,
And
absolutely. Tyler Reddick, 3 wins. And Bubba, I mean, I've seen him top 5 like consistently.
yep.
I don't know what his finishing stats are, but it seems like he's always at least in the top 10, but usually in the top 5 most races, and consistently, as far as like throughout the race, he's got to have a really good average running position. 23-11, they must have found something in their setup or in this car or something, because those guys are on a tear this year.
Yeah, well, Bubba started. He didn't start very well. He started 28th after they missed it in qualifying, and he came all the way back to finish just outside the top 10.
Yeah, man, that's crazy.
Usually a 28th place finish for Bubba Wallace fans, or 28th place starting spot. Usually we're going to have a bad day, but today they got that car rolling. And
yeah, I guess so.
It's a good sign for the rest of the season, especially in a championship where you don't need that win and you're in safety net.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Well deserved. I mean, I knew Tyler Reddick wasn't winning, and I'm not patting myself on the back by saying I knew it would be a Penske car, but obviously 23-11 was not going to win 36 races. That was coming to an end. Winning 3 in a row is difficult, if not statistically improbable. Winning 4 feels impossible.
I think if he had won 4 in a row, we would have to be talking about some all-timer stuff at that point. But
has anyone... I'm just trying to think. I can't think of anyone ever winning 4 in a row. I feel like you'd have to go back to like the outlaw days of like the Petties. Back when they had like 500 sanctioned events a year, and Petty showed up with a Hemi and everybody got mad. And but has anybody won 4 in a row?
So we've
what
had
I would say
8.
Is like after the 90s.
So after the 90s, the only person that's done it was Jimmy
Gordon?
Johnson in 2007. Before then, Jeff Gordon did it in that 1998 season where he won everything that moved.
Yeah.
Before that, Mark
Dale?
Martin in 93, Bill Elliott 92, Harry Gant 91, Dale Earnhardt 1987, Darrell Waltrip 1981, and Cale Yarborough 1976. I'm surprised. Oh, this is in the modern era.
Okay, so, I was going to say, I wouldn't even count outside of the modern era.
Yeah, this is the modern era from 72 to now.
But 8, that's impressive. But is there every name on there is a Hall of Famer? Right?
Yeah. I think we have a little bit to go before we put Tyler Reddick in that conversation, but all 8 that have done it gone on to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you don't win 4 in a row if you're not exceptional.
Yeah.
You don't luck your way into 4. You luck your way into 1.
Yep. So we're heading into Las Vegas this week in the point standings in the Cup Series. Tyler Reddick continues to lead by 60 over Ryan Blaney. Bubba Wallace is 72 back. Chase Elliott 97 back. And Shane Van Gisbergen, tip of the cap to him.
Put some respect on that man's name.
He should have had a top 10, got passed late in the going at Phoenix. He's starting to figure out these ovals. And for the rest of the sport, that is not a good sign given how good he is at road courses.
Yeah, because I think he had a bad setup in Coda, but he overdrove that car to P2. That car had no business in P2. But everyone has said since he came in, if he figures out everything but the road courses, he's going to be trouble. And I think, again, we're 5 races into the season, but he's sitting 5th. I think he's maybe figured it out. I think he's figured everything else out. I'll be excited to see what he does. And this year, if he makes the chase, you can't say he did it off of road courses. Because you got 28 races you have to be consistent in to make the playoffs. So
Justin Allgaier in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series leads the way. Jesse Love only 3 points back. Austin Hill 5 back. Carson Quapple 38 back. And Sheldon Creed, who finally got his first win at Atlanta, is 41 back heading into Vegas. So we'll take a break and we'll head into our last section of the show. We'll hear from Echobit, and also Supercars and F1 had their doubleheader in Melbourne. We'll talk about that on the other side of this break here on Apex to Asphalt on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clanking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go.
We're back here on Apex to Asphalt, heading into the final segment of the night. We're getting into Supercars and Formula One in Melbourne, Australia. We get started with Supercars, and Chris, our Repco Supercars boys in Australia, they put on a show once again.
absolutely, and it was the Melbourne Super Sprint, and we'll talk about who ended up holding the Larry Perkins Trophy, which is awarded to the driver who wins the overall event. Think of it as like a triple crown in Supercross, and they take 4 races over the weekend, and whoever scores, the best overall of those races wins the Larry Perkins Trophy. And let's get things kicked off with Melbourne Race 1, which is the season race 4.
So Brody Gostecki is going to win that race from the pole pretty easily. However, Brock Feeney and Matt Payne enter this race. They were tied for the lead in points, but Payne edges out Feeney to fill out the podium and takes the orange numbers into race 2. It was a pretty low-key affair, except for Kai Allen, who got spun by Thomas Randall on lap 1 and clawed his way back to a P11 finish. Got 13 positions from the start of that race, from where he ended up on lap 1. And in the Toyota watch, which will continue until they put one on the podium, Chaz Mostert and Ryan Wood for Walkinshaw finish in the top 10. Mostert in P5, Wood in P7. Let's go over to race 2, season race number 5. Matt Payne starts the race with the orange numbers, and the mid-pack race was really fun in this race, and this is why we talk about on this weekend, Chris, that Supercars is usually the best show of the weekend when it comes to the Formula One race.
At any rate, I will tell you that Supercars is the best racing series on the planet. I've been saying that for virtually as long as I've been on this show. Supercars, just hands down, these guys are the best. And there's 4 races, and not only did I watch, so today I watched Melbourne race 3, race 4, a Supercross triple header, so 6 races there, and I also watched Snowcross, all 6 races of Snowcross today.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of things are going to blur for me, and I do apologize. I don't recall exactly what made me right. The mid pack made this race really fun, but they put on a show. My guess, if I had to think, it was the guys from 10 to 15, and they had just a really crazy sequence. These races, the super sprint, they're only going to be about 19 laps long on a minute and a half track anyway. So they're pretty short. But the Red Bull cars, man, Brock Feeney, Will Brown, they were aggressive as hell throughout Friday. And personally, I'm a Red Bull guy through and through. Formula One, NASCAR, supercars. If Red Bull's a sponsor, I'm a fan. And personally, I think that Feeney and Brown probably should have been penalized for some of their antics. I think we'll get to it in race 6 of the season, race 6, Melbourne race 3. Will Brown does pick up a penalty for what he does. Will Brown had a weekend to forget. But the Red Bull cars on Friday, Melbourne race 2, season race 5, they were crazy aggressive, especially in the last turn coming to the start-finish line.
And I will agree with you. Not only, I think Red Bull in and of itself just had a terrible weekend.
They really did.
In Melbourne, as we'll get to it. Brody Kostecki does pick up the win. Matt Payne, P2, and the Toyota watch is over as Ryan Wood finishes P3 and is the first Toyota driver to pick up a podium. So let's go ahead and get into that race 6 where Brock Feeney takes the win from pole, but Matt Payne gets contact with Jaden Ojeda, and unfortunately, Payne's race is over in lap 1. Cooper Murray got spun in the gravel and got beached for the second consecutive race. And then 2 laps after that,
in the Cooper Murray got spun, beached in the gravel for the second consecutive race in the exact same corner.
Yeah.
Different people beached him, but the exact same thing happened.
Not good luck for Cooper at all.
No, Cooper Murray, it was like Kai Allen last year at the Bathurst 1000. Hit everything but the pace car. Cooper Murray, if he retired today, I wouldn't have blamed him because he got taken out of the race in race 5. In race 6, he gets spun and beached in the same corner. And then, spoiler alert, he doesn't finish race 7 after lap 1 either.
Yep.
So 3 consecutive races where he was taken out by somebody else for no apparent reason.
Yeah, that was a rough one for Murray in Melbourne. I was about to say Adelaide. I don't know why. But at 2 laps after the Murray spin, Ryan Wood puts Thomas Randall in the wall, which ends his race. That ends, and Wood ends up getting a penalty for that.
Yep.
Will Brown and Aaron Cameron then spin each other, battling for P4. And then Kostecki punts Feeney off the track, doesn't make the pass, and then backs off so that he doesn't get a penalty himself. And then Kostecki hounds Feeney for the rest of the race, but Feeney just puts on a defensive clinic, and he wins the race and retakes the championship lead with Matt Payne finishing last. But oh boy, does that not last. Chris, take us through what happened there in turn 1 in race 7.
Did you end up going and watching that turn 1 incident in race 7?
I did, and it was rough.
The problem is it starts a fraction of a second after the green flag drops. Because Kai Allen and Ryan Wood get into each other. Kai Allen's car lifts up off the ground. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, that was a pretty big bounce by him.
But this race was destined to fail from the very beginning. And spoiler alert, roughly half the race was run under yellow flag. I think it was actually 6 out of 14 laps were yellow flagged. But stick with me. We're going to get through this.
Yep.
So Ryan Wood gets a bad start. Kai Allen, who started right next to him, moves down, doesn't really realize he got a bad start. And Allen actually gets pinched down into Wood, and they both pick up a tire puncture on front tires. Feeney ends up going around Wood and Allen because they got tire punctures in front of him, so he's going to shoot around the outside. And So I was actually thinking I was going to grab a couple die casts to um, do a little show with my cars, and my my media credentials for supercars are pending. So I really wish they had gotten accepted today so I could just show you the video. But supercars is still pending my accreditation. But Wood Cam Waters punts Ryan Wood into the corner. Wood almost takes off Feeney's bumper, but Feeney sees it coming, checks up a little bit. And then as Feeney's kind of exiting the corner, Kai Allen gets hit by Andre Heimgartner behind him, and Allen goes right into Feeney's quarter panel, spins him right around. And as a Brock Feeney fan, I can't defend this. It was just stupid. But Feeney, for some reason, just spins his car around so that he's facing the right way. And the only way I can describe what happens is Cooper Murray is a baseball and Brock Feeney's car is a baseball bat, because he just swung his car right around and like as he's swinging his car around, it just catches Cooper Murray right on the nose. It would be a home run if this was baseball. And so poor Cooper Murray, he gets taken out of his third consecutive race. Again, if he retired today, I wouldn't blame him. And so after that wreck, a couple other people get some minor damage, but only Brock Feeney, Cooper Murray, and Zach Bates, the rookie, end up having to take a retirement from the race. Again, just look up Melbourne Race 7 opening lap wreck on YouTube or any social media. This wreck is a nightmare. It is crazy, and it starts immediately when the green flag drops. And I can't put it into words what happened. And supercars, if you're listening, please hurry my credentials. We've talked about it. I'm just waiting on you to give me the green light. You've left me on red for a couple days now. So, yeah. So then, looking at the rest of the race, Matty Payne has a huge lockup on lap 8. His tire goes down again. This is Matty Payne, who comes into the week tied with Brock Feeney for the points lead. Brock Feeney DNFs. Matt Payne goes with a tire down, so he has to take a pit, whereas they are not pitting really in the Sprint Cup, which is the first 3/4 of the season. These guys don't really have a long enough race to even worry about pitting. And then on the final lap, Will Brown, who was putting on a really good defense against Brody Kostecki, which this was a master class in defense, because Will Brown did not have the faster car. Brody Kostecki had already won 2 of the 3 races. He was on Brock Feeney in race 3. Brody Kostecki was just the man to beat this weekend, and he was on Will Brown. And Will, in the first corner of the last lap, locks up his rear axle, his tires chatter, and he gets that bounce. And Brody Kostecki sneaks by, and he's just off to the races. And Brody Kostecki picks up his 3rd win of the weekend, and with that, the Larry Perkins Trophy for the 2nd time in his career. So he won that back in 2023.
Congratulations, Brody Kostecki. And Echobit has joined us in the chat. We'll be hearing from her in momentarily with her thoughts on the Crux Cup coming up at the end of March. But with the supercars conversation, Red Bull hasn't been a great start to the year for them, but Penrite Racing looking pretty good. They've built themselves a serious lead, and Toyota, they've got to work on their qualifying pace, but they finally get that first podium of the year.
Yeah, and just kind of looking at our season thoughts after Melbourne, Red Bull definitely. I don't think their problem is the car. I think they're having a mentality issue, which Brock Feeney back in Sydney for the season opener, the Sydney 500. Brock Feeney swept all 3 races, or no, he won 2 of the 3. he finished P2 in the second race. But I feel like we had a slump this weekend mentally. And I think that's really what we can hopefully chalk this week up, because it was not a great week for the Red Bull Ampol boys. Penrite Racing, they looked great when Matty Payne wasn't getting taken out. And Kai Allen also had a couple run-ins with people that weren't necessarily his fault either. But they've looked good the opening 2 rounds. Whereas like DJR and Brody Kostecki, they flashed this week, but they were not really a factor 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
And then with Toyota, yeah, like you said, their qualifying is terrible. They've got 1 podium through 7 races, but they'll have 1 car that finishes good. Like Chaz Mostert comes out with a P5, Ryan Wood gets a P3, and they're getting like 1 car in the top 10. But if you look at their average finishing position and even their average running position, they have like P10 to P14 locked down. Like they'll have 3 cars running right in that all day, every race. And I get that they only have 5 cars on the grid right now, but you got to get another car up in that top 10 consistently.
Yeah.
Right now they're putting 1 car up there, but that's not going to be enough to really do much. So I think they'll improve as the season goes on, but early on, you know, they've got their podium, but they have a lot of work to do as a manufacturer over the 2 teams and the 5 cars. But supercars, best racing on the planet, super views, $6.99 a month on YouTube, the best $6 you'll watch, or the best $7 a month you'll spend. I promise you. If you don't have it, get it.
I have it, and you can go back and watch the races whenever you want. So you should go ahead and check that out. They're going to take a couple weeks off before they head over to. Actually, they have a short turnaround before they head over to the New Zealand round of the championship. So go over to the calendar.
Is it Ipswich?
The website wants to act up.
No.
Load. Okay, so we are coming up to. Nope, that's the wrong schedule. Of course, when I try to go to do this, it doesn't want to work.
Yeah.
So they've got Taupo coming up. That is not where they're racing next. There we go. Lord have mercy. So next time out will actually be the Taupo Super 440. So I was right.
Yeah.
And then they'll be heading from there to the Christchurch Super 440 as their tour of New Zealand begins. Not a lot of time to rebuild Brock Feeney's car, which was absolutely destroyed.
Oh yeah, that thing was demolished. Yep. But they got to figure it out. So hopefully they do. Otherwise, it's going to be. Will Brown has been a non-factor last season, and he's looking to be a non-factor again this season. He really had. He had race 7 was okay, but he was nowhere to be seen. He was running mid-pack the rest of the weekend. So I don't want to call it, but Will Brown is washed.
Let's not go. It might be.
Well, he was the 2024 champ. I mean, so he was running that number 1 all last season. You don't call. Well, you shouldn't call a season champion, or like a year and a couple months ago champion washed quite yet. But get me somebody younger now. Give me Kai Allen today.
We'll see how that goes. They'll be racing in New Zealand the next couple of rounds out in April.
Christchurch is new, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. So Formula One, the Australian Grand Prix, and finally, the timesheet matters. But Chris, the timesheet wasn't telling us a lot of good, and neither was the in-car shots either.
No. There was a lot of drama that came out of Australia. But looking at I guess we'll start out with qualifying. which I apologize for not finishing the show notes. Just bad timing on my part. You can blame Mother Nature for giving me a 66-degree day because I came home and I was outside in the yard all afternoon. But we open up qualifying with Max Verstappen going straight into the wall.
Mm-hmm.
And ends up being an electrical fault that I think put 100% brake bias onto the rear axle, which snapped his car right around. But Isaac Hadjar ends up qualifying top 5. So that Red Bull seat, that cursed second Red Bull seat, maybe is no longer. As I say that, I take it back. Just because of the race. The qualifying was good. It kind of told us where we were on the season, who are the contenders, who are the pretenders. And I think it mostly turned out how we expected, Darryl. You got McLaren, Red Bull, Isaac Hadjar, Mercedes, Ferrari right up there in the top. Haas looked good. V-Carb looked good. Audi, Alpine, Williams, they were kind of not so great. Aston Martin, really not great.
No.
But I guess what I'm saying is I don't think I was particularly surprised with qualifying.
I don't think I was either, to be honest. I think everything kind of shook out the way it did, but man, the super clipping on these cars, turn 9, you can audibly hear the engines dying.
Yeah.
And the drivers are downshifting.
Yep.
Going into turn 9 in Australia. We have a 1.2 kilometer backstretch coming up at Shanghai this weekend.
Yeah.
And I said online, those cars might be doing highway speeds by the time they get to the hairpin at the end of that corner. And I get what they were trying to do with the 50-50 split of ice and electrical power. It has not worked out, I think, in the way they wanted. Yes, the race looked good as far as a passing perspective, but it was not good quality passing.
Yeah, and I think that I did have a little bit of optimism for what we would call a DRS train, because you were routinely seeing, again, what we would historically call a DRS train. They were moving. Like the guy, what I would call, second in line, was routinely getting around that first car. So I think that this new rule set is good for that mid-pack racing. And we did see Max start P20, finish P6. I think he would have did that anyway with like a DRS car, but there was a lot of backpack racing that I don't think they necessarily did a great job of showing. But I also, I don't have anything to say. I think that some racing is better off as a result of it. But I do agree that maybe it didn't quite feel so impactful as well.
Well, Shaq News says it right there. The back and forth passing did not feel impactful. And yeah, because you would get, and we saw that with the battle for the lead where Russell would get the lead and then would run out of battery and Leclerc jumps right around him, which was great at the time. But when you go back and watch that, that wasn't really because of driver skill. That was because the cars were running out of battery.
Yes. And that's what happens when you can hold it wide open and you lose speed on a straightaway. So that's one of those things where I do think they need to pretty promptly look at the rule package and see what they can do about that. And apparently, I don't know, did you hear about the drivers' meeting and how everything from it got leaked?
the drivers, I really didn't need to look at the leaks because the drivers are kind of saying it themselves during the weekend. They were not happy at all driving these cars.
No, and I think well, yeah, there's a direct quote from Max. But yeah, I think some of the drivers were a little upset, particularly Max, actually, because
Max sounds like he's ready to like quit.
Yeah, well, big news from him. He's racing Nürburgring.
They better hope that race doesn't go well for him, because if it does, he might just walk away.
And if they end up having to cancel Qatar and Saudi Arabia, that actually opens up. There are 2 races on those weekends that he could also hit.
Mm-hmm.
So in theory, Max could be doing quite a few endurance races this year, but apparently Max was quite vocal in the drivers' meeting about how he does not like this regulation and how it's not good, and just et cetera, et cetera. And George Russell is really the only person that I've heard say anything positive about this car.
Well, he won the race, so of course he's going to say something positive.
Yeah.
But let's get into the race proper. And Echo is fun fact, she's from New Zealand but lives in Australia. We might need you to go down to Melbourne the next time the race is coming up and sprinkle some holy water on the track.
Yeah.
Because the curse of the Australian drivers here is real.
Absolutely.
Piastri, bringing the car to the starting grid, crashes out in turn 4, and McLaren states it was an electrical power surge. So that's the second one this weekend.
Yeah, which is reminiscent of Max's crash in qualifying. They said it was an electrical gremlin.
Yep.
So that's your P1 and P2, or P2 and P3 in your standings last year. So it's not like these two are just boneheads that made a mistake. That's a genuine, electric issues. I'm not going to name names, but there are some people that drive green cars that I wouldn't buy it if they said it was an electrical issue.
Well, there's at least one of them I wouldn't buy it from, but we'll continue. The question going into this race was the pace Ferrari had on the starts, was that real? And yes, it was. It was Leclerc and Hamilton jumping to first and third, but there may have been a reason for that, as George Russell and Isaac Hadjar both stated, and Verstappen as well, somehow they ran out of battery getting to the grid on the formation lap.
Yeah. Which I need to know more about that.
Yeah.
Because you'd think in theory they'd start with full battery.
They shouldn't be discharging that much battery.
No. So my wonder is there a short? Was there an electrical issue causing that or not? But Ferrari had been, if you remember, there was that issue with the starts and the teams were complaining about it, or Ferrari complained about it and said, "Oh, we're finding starting to be difficult." And they said, "Sucks to be you, Ferrari, but we're not changing the rules." And then, 12, 16 months later, all the other teams go to the FIA and say, "Oh, we're having trouble starting." And Ferrari says, "We figured it out, and if you do anything, we'll use our veto on it. You guys weren't willing to help us when we said we were having issues, so screw you guys. I'm going home."
And that's kind of the problem with Ferrari having that veto. But speaking of the start, I don't think the lights were supposed to go off as fast as they did. Because I don't know if you saw it. It was like a flash of the fifth light.
It really was.
I think someone's finger slipped on the button.
Yeah. Put down that 5, guys. You got greasy fingers.
But so Hadjar was running well. He was in the top 5, and then the curse of the second Red Bull seat hits.
Yep.
Forcing his retirement.
And they were only a handful of laps in too, so I was excited with him starting so close to the front. I wanted to see what that second Red Bull seat would do, and he was actually doing really good. I think he showed in his 5 laps of being able to race. I do think he showed some promise.
Yes. I think he's going to have a good rate. I think he's going to have a good season of just developing, and he had the pace. It's just the car failed him.
Yeah.
Mercedes showed real speed on the way to victory, while Max goes from P20 to P6. A great recovery, and I think he's going to be good when he's not having his qualifying derailed by an electrical fault.
Yeah, absolutely. Hope to see it. And yeah, but Ferrari is much more competitive than they were last year.
Mhm.
I do think, and out of these top four, if I had to say it right now, I would say that probably McLaren is the weakest of the top four.
Mhm.
I think that Max would have gotten Lando with a couple more laps. And Lando, he just didn't have pace compared to Ferrari and Mercedes.
Mhm.
So we'll see how it plays out. But George Russell ends up picking up the win. Kimi podiums with him, and so did Charles. Did you see in the cool down room them watching Gabriel Bortoleto dodging whoever it was that flubbed the start?
Yeah, I did not get a good I think that was Colin Pinto that did that, but
yeah,
that was the save of the decade. I think it was Liam Lawson that didn't get a good start.
it was Liam Lawson. Yep.
And Colin Pinto just whips that thing to the right. If he is a tenth of a second later, that is a massive accident.
It's just like that Hadjar from 2 years ago at Monaco, where they were in the tunnel, and there was that car on the inside lane not moving, basically. And remember, Hadjar has a fraction of a second to get around it. But yeah, it was Colapinto. Now that you say it, because it was the pink car. But man, the way that like you see George Russell and Kimi and Charles react to that, and my goodness, you could tell that they were like psyched, but also like holy crap about it too. Because it was a good save. That was crazy.
Yeah. Thankfully, nobody got hurt from there. But quickly, we'll go through our first impressions team by team. Chris, start us off.
All right. So I'll start out with the preseason winner Mercedes. Both cars are incredibly competitive, and they have an estimated 20 kilometer per hour advantage on the straights. I think Mercedes won the preseason. What say you about Ferrari?
Well, Ferrari's probably the second best team right now behind Mercedes. They nailed the launch. The race pace looks good. The race strategy is going to be the race strategy at this point. They're going to have some mistakes. They had a big one on Sunday where they should have pitted at the first virtual safety car. But the Tifosi should be celebrating some podiums this year. Chris, how about you and Red Bull?
Yeah. We might be the best of the rest. I think Mercedes and Ferrari are a step ahead of everybody else. But max charging P20 to P6 would have been P5 with a couple laps. I think us Red Bull fans are cautiously optimistic going forward. Maybe a little more optimistic than McLaren.
Yeah, McLaren, they were a little off the pace. Only Norris raced due to the curse of the Australian drivers at the Australian Grand Prix. Brought home a solid P5, probably the fourth fastest team on the grid. But the team behind them is a little bit surprising, Chris, in one of the American outfits.
Yeah, Haas. I would say that they are the best of the rest if we exclude the top four. Ollie Behrman, P7 finish, and they're showing genuine points finishing consistency. Big change from last year, though, is VCarb.
Yeah, VCarb rookie Arvid Lindblad stole the show. He gets points on his debut. VCarb has some competitive speed. At one point, they were higher than the Red Bulls. Of course, Max did have his issue, but they should be regularly scoring points. And another team that should be doing that is one of our technical newcomers in Audi, Chris.
Yeah, Gabriel Bortoleto, who we were incorrectly talking about a few minutes ago, had a P9 finish. He gets some points. And I don't think I'm going out on a limb here by saying that they're already more competitive now than they were in their Sauber era. And kind of picking up where they left off last year and the years before is Alpine, though.
Alpine picked up some points with Pierre Gasly bringing it home in 10th, so that's 1 point. Unfortunately, they are stuck in developmental no man's land, as they are definitely at the back end of the mid-pack. And unfortunately, Chris, that brings us to the teams that are on the struggle bus to start the year.
Yeah, and I would say Williams is definitely a contender there. They had a painful weekend. I believe that they admitted they have about half the pace that they expected compared to their testing projections. But the newest newcomer on the grid, though, Cadillac, I think is probably right below them.
Cadillac, they weren't the worst on the grid, but they are significantly off the pace, which, let's be honest, that was to be expected. The race felt more like another test session for data gathering for that team. Unfortunately, Bottas had a reliability issue, but for Cadillac, their biggest thing this season is to just go to all the races, run as many laps as possible, fill that data sheet for the 2027 car. That's when we'll start to put some expectations on them. And then we go to Aston Martin.
Yeah, I think it's a consensus worst team on the grid right now, Aston Martin. They retired Alonso early. Stroll stayed out I think he stayed out for the whole race. But these guys are way off the pace. Honda completely let them down coming into the season. I would not be surprised to see an engine manufacturer change for next year. They are just absolutely the 11th team on the grid. And with that, I think that is our first impressions completed.
Lance Stroll actually finished 43 laps on Sunday. Fernando Alonso, 21. So that will do it for the racing that was. But we do have some racing coming up in cyberspace as Star Citizen gets ready for the Anzia Racing Crux Cup Championships. The highlight of the Anzia Racing season gets started at the end of March. Early or late last week, I got to sit down with Anzia Racing's presiding officer, Echobit, to talk about everything Star Citizen Racing related. And take a listen to that. And when we come back, we'll have the week ahead for you. So sit tight. And here's Echobit. Well, welcome back here to Apex to Asphalt here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And as we know, racing takes place in many forms, be it on the track, on the sea, in the air, or in this case, in cyberspace. Star Citizen is an ambitious space sim with career paths from combat to space trucking and, of course, racing. One of the premier racing organizations is Anzia Racing, who host, among other things, the Crux Cup series of events. Anzia Racing is guided by the always cheerful and racing fanatic Echobit, Anzia Racing's providing officer, who joins me to talk about everything Crux Cup and Anzia Racing. Echo, thank you so much for joining me once again here on now Apex to Asphalt, and welcome in. How are things on the other side of the planet?
Hello, Echobit, presiding officer for Anzia Racing, VTuber, professional racer extraordinaire at your service for Star Citizen Community Racing. Things are wonderful here. We are gearing up for a lot of amazing events this year. We've got Team Endurance Championships, 24-hour, and even Stellar later this year. Anti-Gravity Racing League will see a return. Lots of awesome events on the horizon. Really looking forward to it. Hello, everyone.
So last year, Crux Cup was hosted at Crusader, and my first time being there, an incredible event. What were some of your favorite moments from last year's Crux Cup, Echo?
So one of the key points about Star Citizen is that we can pay homage to some of the great sci-fis out there, and Cloud Imperium Games do such a good job. They built a cloud city. So if you imagine a giant gas giant, if you've never seen Star Citizen before, just imagine like the Bespin City from Star Wars, that big cloud city and a gas giant. Star Citizen has that as well. And we built a racetrack out of that cloud city. So we raced that at it's called the Ahu Mahi Ring Racetrack. It is such a beautiful sight in Star Citizen. Video game technology can achieve something at such a massive scale, so we decided to also meet that as a community and run a very awesome and epic race. around that Cloud City. We had a lot of fun. It was a nice, simple course, a really good introduction to endurance racing. And we've been running that for about 3 years. So Crux Cup Team Endurance Championships have been about introducing people to PU racing. So that was our introduction course, a nice 4-point track of the major industrial platforms there. And then last year we had Dash Master here, or Darryl, join us for the very first Crux Cup 24-hour. It was our chance to sort of take what we'd learned in the previous years and then run the race of our dreams, a 24-hour race in Star Citizen. And we had such a good time, and the developers came along to help out as well. And check it out, we made esports history together. So it's like it's a cornerstone track for us, Orison Crusader. A lot of history there, a lot of video game history, esports history, and a lot of wonderful memories there in that beautiful Cloud City.
Yes, and the Crux Cup 24-hour was amazing, especially with, unfortunately, as Star Citizen is an alpha, the servers, sometimes they're great, sometimes they're not so great. I remember that weekend, they were not so great, and I was nervous about how everything was going to go, but I think we only needed a couple of server changes the entire day, and I think about from the nighttime in my time zone to the end of the race, I think it was all on one server. So it was an incredible achievement that Anzia Racing was all proud of, and we all had a lot of fun getting to call that. And Sanguis Luna, man, if there's a race and they're in it, you might as well just push all your credits into the table on them, because they dominated that race, but it was still a lot of fun to get to call that.
It was incredible. And the developers working hard in the background, they just released a new major patch 4.0, which included server meshing technology. So anytime a server would crash, no longer would we have to restart the whole game and get back into the client and reconnect to another server. What we had happen is you would just pause the game. Incredibly, in a multiplayer game, the developers can pause it and then they would just transfer you to a new server in real time, and you didn't have to close your client or anything like that. That's one of the most powerful things about Star Citizen, is how good the technology is. A lot of multiplayer games require you to load into a map, and then when the match is done, it closes and kicks you out to the main menu and you have to join another match. But Star Citizen is a rolling, persistent universe, and the devs are out there. They were tweaking the elevator system, which was causing a lot of crashes on the day, in real time for us to stabilize the server. And we went through about 3 different servers, and then for the last half of the race, we had just one rolling server. They managed to stabilize it. It's unbelievable. It's such a unique collaboration of video game developer, the technology that we have to do space racing, and the community all coming together. And we're going to do it again. We're doing it again this May 9th, so look forward to that stream. And Darryl Dashmaster is coming with us as well, which is super exciting. It's so good to have you back for another one.
Yes, I'm so excited to be there for this one. Hopefully no life events get involved. I will definitely be cutting out time to be a part of my second Crux Cup 24-hour. Hopefully we won't be in a state of delirium like the Le Mans 24 Spanish announcers were last year, where they were singing a random song at 2 a.m.
Oh, that was so funny.
Go find that on YouTube if you've never seen that before. It's hilarious.
That clip is so good. Yep, Spanish commentators, Le Mans 24 hours. Honestly, if we end up singing, that just makes it more our event. It adds a lot of character to it. We're not a professional broadcast. We're just a bunch of people that love video games, and it's a hobby. We're not a professional company. And honestly, that just makes it more human. It makes it a real human race. So the more funny stuff that happens, whether it's Papa Juggernaut or Lens Nation fighting over whether chai tea or tea is real, it all adds so much fun to the broadcast.
So let's go ahead and get into this year's Crux Cup. What is this year's course, and what should we be looking out for?
Yep, so this year's course is at Microtech, the city of New Babbage. We ran a beautiful race in Crux Cup Stella last year. We introduced the MB Ghost racetrack based on Initial D's successor, MF Ghost. Highly recommend the anime series. Lovely, lovely series. And I took basically the format of the anime, and I was like, you know what, I want to make those racetracks in Star Citizen. And the only way we could do that was to make it out of the wonderful cities that CIG have built. And that pushed me to develop some very technical and long racetracks. And for the 24-hour, we've made a simplified one. So we've got a compromise between highly technical, really difficult skill level, and the Ahumahi ring, which is like super simple, nice to get into, a really good introduction to endurance racing. Now we've got a track, an endurance version of the MB Ghost circuit. That's live on scr.gg as well if you want to post a time there. And the races will be they'll be forming up massive teams to tackle this racetrack. So look forward to that as well. Team sizes are doubled. But Microtech, it is a snowy planet. It was a failed terraforming project for the United Earth Empire. And there's just a small, like around the equator, there's a small terraformed part where it did succeed a little bit. But the rest of it is just blanketed in ice and snow, and there's even weather hazards at Microtech. So in New Babbage City, it can see wind speeds of up to 70 meters per second, which is a class 3 hurricane. So I'm not quite sure how the buildings are standing up, but you know, it's 930 years into the future. You can just be like, oh yeah, they've sort of optimized building construction and all of that to survive in such harsh conditions. That we even saw snowstorms roll in Crux Cup Stella. At the end of the final, a snowstorm blew in and pushed Fresh from Sanguis Luna off the track into a building, causing a crash for him. And then Playing Fox from Blackstar Racing, took the lead and won that MB Ghost race on our first Microtech racetrack. So I just want to shout out both of them for such a stellar effort on that track. But a 24-hour, a more simplified one. It has a lot more straights. It incorporates a lot of sections from MB Ghost. It doesn't have like the Aspire Grand flip, but it does go through Aspire Grand. So it's like a little bit safer, less dangerous, less crossovers of races coming together. And we'll see about 11 races go around the city. It's a monstrous track, like 400 kilometers. Yeah, I hope you look forward to it.
I think the wind and the snowstorms, I think, are going to provide a great challenge for the racers this year. Last year, they kind of had it easy. They had to battle the track, and it sounds like this year there's going to be some elements you're going to have to deal with in the Crux Cup this year.
Absolutely, and that's racing. Wind adds a lot. We also have the visibility reduction of snowstorms, so fog rolls in as well. And also rain is also added. There's a whole lot of new systems that got added to Star Citizen since the last 24-hour. And of course the servers have been stabilized a lot. I'm actually super keen to see how the servers perform because they've been very, very good lately. Like particularly last year in December, I didn't encounter a server error at all. And then this year, maybe just one or two, but in like the PT builds. But when it goes to live, like if you're just, like the current event is Alliance Aid and you're doing the missions for that, I didn't see a single server error. So I am actually really hopeful that the servers are going to hold up pretty well. Maybe we'll see 1 or 2 errors, but otherwise, I think it's going to be a great experience out at New Beverage City. And there's a whole day-night cycle, like, because it's all planetary and physical based. Like, you'll see the races go from day to night, and they have different conditions to fly in, not just snow, weather, wind, and all of that. They also have to fly at nighttime. Another technology that was introduced to Star Citizen since we last played is the light amplification system in the cockpits. So racers can activate a shader that illuminates, or like, it's like night vision. It gives them night vision in their space cockpit, and they can see the terrain, they can see geometry a lot better, but it's kind of got that sort of monochromatic look of night vision. So it sort of has this sort of unique sci-fi look to it, and it's all colored for the different manufacturers. So Mirai will be different from Origin, which you'll see. And that helps a lot with nighttime racing. And Microtech, it gets really dark there. It's not as well lit as Lawville or Crusader. Everything is like neon strips at New Beverage City. Not much big light, not many big powerful lights there. So the light amplification system helps a lot with that. So we should see that come up on the stream too. That technology. A lot of cool stuff added to racing, at least community racing, since we last played. A lot of new stuff to learn. Pilots are really excited to gear up, and they're already training to use this new stuff and to account for these new dangers on the track.
And it won't be just the pros that'll be taking to the track during the Crux Cup season, or during the Crux Cup series of events. We also have some other events for amateur racers, so talk a little bit about those.
That's right. So before we get into the Crux Cup 24-hour, we have Crux Cup Team Endurance Championships. And one of the beautiful things about this competition is that you can race any ship in Star Citizen you want. There's a race class for you. And we split the amateurs from the pros. So if you pick something like a Drake Herald, which is not typically a racing ship, but sure, it does go fast. Or maybe you're a combat pilot and you want to race your Arrow, you can enter the open racing class, which is an amateur racing class. And once you sign into that, you won't be able to sign into the pro racing class. And that's intentional because we want our pros to go to the Pro GP, and they'll be locked into that, and you won't see any amateurs in our open GP. And we also have other racing classes to pick from. So if just racing any ship maybe doesn't interest you, but you just want to race at the same speed as others, you could choose the Aurora class, where everyone is locked into the starter ship, the classic RSI Aurora. Everyone's racing at the same speed. It's an absolute laugh. The first lap is just everyone clumped together, and it's like, who can outboost the other or outturn the other? It's really skill-based. It's quite funny. But again, it's all amateurs, so you'll only be competing against a lot of new players. And then we have our heavy class. So anyone that is a mining, cargo, salvager, just a logistics pilot, or even a capital ship pilot, you can come in here and you can race at a very large industrial ship. We can get representation for non-combat players that just like to gather and craft and build stuff. All of those ships are in heavy as well. So this year the lead ship will be the Hull A, so we're going to get our cargo haulers represented this year. So look forward to that, a race of the Hull A.
I'm excited to see the Hull A race. I'm excited to see the heavy class again. I remember that from last year. The heavy ships can move. They don't have the maneuverability. They definitely can go fast. Now, turning is a whole different story, but it's still fun to watch them.
That's right. Heavy class is amazing. We raced the Reclaimer, and we've raced the Hull C, and the Mole, I think, was the tech last year. That's right. The Mole turned out to be the ship favored. We had 3 that we weren't sure which were going to be faster, and the community went ahead and figured it out. We saw some Hercules as well. We saw a raft on the track as well, and they were all very competitive with each other. So yeah, I'm keen to see if there's any other unknowns around the Hull A. But we're pretty good. At Anzia Racing, we practically test every spaceship that comes into the game. We have a public data set available that you can find on anziaracing.com/data/ship if you want to see how your ship is performing in the verse. And then if you want to race it, you can find out which racing class it's in. Check out anziaracing.com/event/Crux Cup Tech. And there, you can see where your ship falls in the competition. And if you're a veteran of Star Citizen and you've been training your PvP skills or your racing skills, come and try the Pro GP, because there are 3 speed classes to choose from there. We have the A-Crux, our best of the best, the fastest in the Empire. These racers will battle with the fastest ships, the M50 and the Razor LX. And then the AX2 will race the Fury and the P72. And AX3, our slower Pro GP class, will race the 350R and the Mustang Racing Class Series. So look forward to that. We'd love to have you. And sign-ups are open. Go sign up now if that interests you.
Yep, AnziaRacing.com. And of course, the Crux Cup is the major event of the year for Anzia Racing. There's also a ton of racing events you guys do during the season. What else do we have, or during the year rather? What else do you guys have coming up this year as far as ship racing?
Yep. So we've got the Crux Cup 24-hour, of course, after Crux Cup Tech. That's 2 weeks after May 9th. And then in June, I believe? Yes. June 14th. Is the Koa EQ Zing. That is our race of monstrous forces. So Koa EQ Zing is one of the alien languages in Star Citizen. It's written by the Xian. They run sort of like a old style ancient Chinese monastery system with like the houses and the dynasties. That's it. Yeah, they have like dynasties over there. It's all based on that. So they're bringing House Gatek and House Apoa, who will be racing, and they're also inviting other alien species to come and race their spaceships in this event. So this is this is a new one for us. We wanted to highlight all of the alien ships in Star Citizen, because alien ships are different, they're cool, and they haven't got much attention in our human competitions. So we're going to try and see how an alien race goes. So you'll see ships like the Vandal Blade, that's really fast. The Gatak Sulan, a beautiful little graceful ship. And we've got our racing class for the Banu Defender. So all of those ships, they've been classified. 3 different speed tiers to choose from. I'd sign up you and a friend for that. And it's just a casual race. It's just for fun. And if you want to just try, the alien ships, jump in on a free fly in Star Citizen, and you can rent these ships in Arena Commander and give them a try. Yeah, we'd love to have you. If you love an alien ship, or you think aliens and sci-fi are cool, come and check out that race on June 11th as well. Also, Anzia Racing is participating in Bar Citizens. So we're going to Bar Citizen Taiwan. I run the esports tournament there for the official Bar Citizen Taiwan. They have an esports theater and hotel. It's really crazy over there. They have such an awesome setup. An entire hotel where every hotel has a gaming PC in it, and then they have an esports theater down below. So I've been invited there to run a race for them. We'll have a pro race there and an amateur race there of the M50 and Arrow. There are 6 racing slots and epic prizes. The Bar Citizen Taiwan will have a physical F8 Lightning model that you can win that lights up, and it's pre-painted, and it's absolutely beautifully designed. There'll be digital prizes too, and physical prizes like t-shirts and stuff like that. Speaking of prizes, 24-hour Crux Cup Tech also has that stuff. Digital ship prizes, physical prizes, t-shirts, stickers, and digital ships for 24-hour. I haven't announced it yet, but I will say it here. There are 30 ships that will be given away for the 24-hour, 10 for each of the podium placing teams, and they get a selection of ships. So you heard it here first. Some amazing prizes, a lot of awesome stuff. And one last thing, the Bar Citizen for China is also inviting me out there. So I will go hang out in Xi'an with everyone and meet the China community and also help them run their play area. So they're running a play area with a whole bunch of sponsors like ROG and Virpool and yeah, they've got a lot of very awesome and full sim pits as well in China too. So I'll be there. You'll be able to meet me there, and I'll have some staff there who are helping run a time trial challenge and a leaderboard competition in the middle of that. And you can find the Anzia booth at GM and China Bar Citizen as well. And then far future, so that's Q1 and Q2. It's a very busy year for us. Q3 and Q4, we're looking at Crux Cup Stella returning as well. Anti-Gravity Racing League. You'll probably see Scarlet Apex. And there's potentially, you heard it here first, there's potentially a new race from us. Another one similar, maybe not similar to the Alien race, but like it's just us branching into a new area that we haven't really focused on, kind of like Anti-Gravity Racing League. Maybe we haven't done something with the wheels or treads in a long time. Maybe you'll see something along those lines from Anzia Racing in Q4. So yeah, we do everything at Anzia Racing. We want something a little bit bigger for the ground stuff. Wink, wink. So look forward to that.
Well, I'm glad we got to break some news here. I can't wait to see the ground racing. I actually have one of the ground vehicles, just haven't got a chance to break it out, so I might have to show up for that race. But Anzia Racing, clearly, Echo, you're going to be very busy this year. It's also going to be a very busy year for Star Citizen. We know all the devs at RSI are working hard on new content for Star Citizen and the single-player game. The original part of the project being Squadron 42, hurtling towards its release date. We're hoping to hear some more information soon about where that's going to come out, but it's a lot of things to be positive about. What are your thoughts on the game as we come into, I think we say this every year, but truly a pivotal year for the project?
It is a massive year for the project. Star Citizen, on its roadmap, publicly announced as the 1.0 goals. So that's on the horizon now. And it's kind of, I don't think a lot of the players that are backed into the game sort of realize we're on that path now. We're heading out of it being a game in development, and we're heading towards a game that's fully released. But it starts with the completion of Squadron 42, which we should see this year. I think it's going to come out. I think it's going to be fine. I think it's ready to go, and they're going to be okay. It's going to have a beautiful cast of characters, famous actors, Mark Hamill, Henry Cavill, you know, just Gillian Anderson, just a monstrous array of movie stars are tied to this project. It is a video game and movie space epic combined for this year, and if you are a sci-fi fan, don't miss on this one. This one's going to be absolutely epic, and it's not something that comes about every year. These sci-fis are rare, and this one is going to be a cornerstone in sci-fi history. So yeah, definitely pay attention to Squadron 42. Go check out the trailer. And for Star Citizen itself, once Squadron 42 is complete, then I see a pivotal shift in Cloud Imperium games where all these developers free up and they can work on the multiplayer version of the game. And I am really keen to see the full power of the company set their sights on Star Citizen 1.0 and what they can do to get it across the line. So I'm a little optimistic compared to most people. I think in a couple of years with the full production of the company, I think in a couple of years they can get to 1.0 if they push hard enough for it. And I think they have the right people to do it. They prove that every year, particularly with server meshing coming online, procedural planets, all of this tech that they keep succeeding on. Whereas, other companies can't quite get enough research and development to produce such amazing new technology. Cloud Imperium Games can, and I believe they can push to a full release of Star Citizen 1.0 sooner than we expect. I think it will be amazing. This year is focused on bringing gameplay systems online, so we've had some new salvaging updates. We're getting new missions coming in. They're continuing to run events every year. Lots and lots of events. Like we have little lore stories like Alliance Aid and the ASD missions, and they're telling stories in the middle of their development, which is just incredible. No other company does that so gracefully in the middle of their own development. I really think they deserve a lot of credit. Star Citizen is such an amazing project. And the community is just as passionate and full of energy, and so are we. So we'll meet that. I think they deserve it. They deserve positive and good energy. And I think if I had to think of something that I'm really looking forward to, and I know a lot of the racing community also agree, we want some more racing missions. So we had those in 3X, the previous major version of the game, and we haven't seen them in a while. But there was a interview with Elliot, one of the mission designers of Cloud Imperium Games, who said, yeah, we've still got racing missions in mind, but we want to do them justice. We want to have like a little medical bay next to them, some services, maybe the racing guild is actually out there at each of the tracks, and you could also call your ship up there and maybe any items you need. So they want a lot more services around racing and racing missions in the future, which was so awesome to hear. So they have us in mind, but they need a lot of the UI teams to free up from Squadron. They need a lot of the engineering, like the tech engineers, to free up from Squadron to then work on racing. But I know that when all of that frees up, it'll suddenly come in a massive wave, and then we'll have a lot of awesome other content to cover at ANZIA. We intend to switch gears to cover the official Murray Cup races. So we will, as ANZIA in a racing community, help you form racing teams, just like we've done for the Crux Cup. We'll switch gears to run the official events as a community, to celebrate them and to bring all of our trained racers to CRG's content, whether that be missions to begin with or a full-on racing league of their own. We're ready for CRG whenever they're ready. We're also looking forward to all of that new racing content too.
Cannot wait to see the Murray Cup finally realized in Star Citizen, and there's gonna be a lot of racers and a lot of teams ready to go, and ANZIA Racing will be a part of it. So Echo, thank you so much for joining me from the other side of the world for this. Where can everyone find you?
You can find me on socials, Twitch, and Discord. So if you want to hang out with ANZIA Racing, come to anziaracing.com. All of our links are there: Discord, Twitch, YouTube, X. You can find them there on our website. And discord.gg/ANZIA Racing if you want to jump into our Discord server. That's where we chat and organize everything and announce all of our events. Come and hang out with us, and even if you're new to racing, jump on in and try Star Citizen as well. And you can find me as Echobit everywhere on socials and Twitch. I stream global racing club for Star Citizen. Sunday, it'll be Saturday morning for US, and Saturday evening for me. Come and hang out on my Twitch if you want. Check out the racing community. We just hang out and we do a lot of Arena Commander Classic racing, and then we jump into the PU and we're gonna have a look at the 24-hour race. And you don't have to be a racer to join this club. You can just come and hang out with us and socialize. It's a great opportunity to meet all of us and to play some Star Citizen together. We'd love to have you.
All right, well, Echo, thank you so much for joining us. If you're watching live, you'll hear from myself and Chris in just a bit. If you want to know more about Anzia Racing, head on over to anziaracing.com. If you want to learn more about the amazing, ambitious project that is Star Citizen, head on over to robertspaceindustries.com. Again, Echo, thank you so much. And sit tight. You hear from me and Chris in just a moment. Sorry about that. Hit the wrong button, but thank you so much for Echobit for joining us for that. And make sure you check us out on twitch.tv/Anzia Racing for the racing coming up at the end of March. Chris, it's time to get into the weekend coming up in racing.
Yeah, it's kind of a slow weekend this weekend, Darryl.
Well, we had a lot of excitement this weekend.
We did.
So the racing guys are giving us a break.
Coming up on 2 hours and 20 minutes for this episode.
Yeah, we will not be this long next week.
No, we're going to speed run it next week.
Yeah, so next week we've got the WRC, the Safari Rally Kenya. That'll be on Rally.tv and Red Bull TV. That'll be March 12th through the 15th. The NHRA will be having their first regional race of the season, the Lucas Oil Season Series East Regional Race 1 from Gainesville, the Baby Gators, as they call it. That'll be March 12th through 14th. You can watch that on NHRA.tv. Snowcross will be the Eagle River National, the World Championship Derby. That'll be March 13th and 14th. Those races will start at 1 on Flow Racing. The Formula One Chinese Grand Prix, the Shanghai International Circuit. You can see that Sunday, March 15th, 3 a.m. on Apple TV. And fun fact, if you have the Apple TV subscription to watch Formula One, you also get F1 TV, the premium tier of F1 TV. So just something to mention.
So, fun tidbit of information on that, Darryl.
Mm-hmm.
So, the way that I understood it is if you had F1 TV before, so like
Yes.
my subscription renews in August. If you had it before, I was under the impression that you had to get Apple TV right from the get. Like you know what I mean? Like December 30 or January 1st of 26, F1 TV no longer worked. But actually, if you had F1 TV and your subscription is still active, it worked for Australia.
Yeah.
And so my assumption is hopefully that it works because mine renews in August. It's like the second week of August it renews. And so I was able to watch. Meanwhile, here I was at like midnight or like, I don't know what time, like 10:58 or whatever. Or no, it was midnight the night before for qualifying, sitting here trying to like reset my Apple ID. It wouldn't work. I don't know where my iPad is. My iPad is the only Apple thing that I own. And I bought this iPad in like 2012 or something like that, 2011, somewhere in that range.
So God only knows if it works on there.
No, it doesn't. I don't even know. I haven't seen my iPad in 5 years. And it wouldn't work. And so here I am like freaking out and all that. And then I'm just like, yeah, whatever. I'm going to try to find a bootleg way to watch qualifying. And I wouldn't feel bad about it because I already paid for F1 TV. So I wouldn't feel bad about bootlegging it. But then I'm like, on a whim, I just check F1 TV and it works. And then it worked again for the race. So I'm hoping that it just keeps working and I can avoid getting Apple TV for quite some time.
So NASCAR O'Reilly and Cup Series will be in Vegas for the Pennzoil 400 and it's just the Luna. Hold on, let me get the actual miles number before we say goodnight.
Oh.
The O'Reilly race will be on CW, and the Cup race, of course, will be on FS1. The O'Reilly Auto Parts race, oh, it's just the Luna. That was a NASCAR thing. Okay.
Don't you be doubting Gemini. I'm a Google shareholder, and I don't appreciate the libel coming out of your mouth.
Okay, so it is 300 miles, but they're just calling it the Luna with an exclamation point.
Yep.
I'm assuming that has something to do with the sponsor. But Pennzoil 400 will be 4 p.m. on FS1. Chris, what are your storylines going into this week?
It's going to be what team is going to adapt best in WRC, switching from snowy, cold weather climates to hot Kenyan terrain. So that's a pretty big switch. So who's going to nail that? And then for F1, does what we think after Australia hold up going into China? You know, basically as the top four, who we think the top four is the mid pack, who we think the mid pack is. And then lastly, we have a pretty fun battle going on in the pro series in snowcross. So who's going to come away? Does anyone kind of step out and kind of take control of the snowcross season? Because after Eagle River, we will have just the season finale in Duluth. So, kind of see if someone can step ahead after that. So, those are kind of the three things I'm looking at for next year. Darryl, what about you?
And before we go, the Java House Grand Prix of Arlington will be at 12:30 on Fox on Sunday, March 15th. So keep it on Fox and then switch to FS1 on Sunday to check out all the racing. My storylines, how does Alex Palou rebound from Phoenix, gets wrecked out after leading the championship for 622 days? History says he's going to be right back on it, but we'll see how it goes. For NASCAR, we head into the first mile-and-a-half race of the season, the bread and butter for NASCAR season. Whose program is going to be the best after Las Vegas? Toyota has had a lock on those tracks the last couple of years, but Ford has always been strong. We haven't seen a lot out of Chevy, though. We'll see if that changes this weekend. And I mentioned it a little bit during the F1 section. You have a 1.2-kilometer backstretch in Shanghai for the Chinese Grand Prix. How will the F1 cars deal with it? They struggled for electrical power during the race on Sunday in Australia. Whoever can keep charge down the back straightaway is going to have the biggest advantage in Shanghai. Chris, tell the people what they need to do.
Recycle. Always recycle. Anyways, Darryl, we have been on for a staggering 2 hours and 23 minutes. I'm going to bed. Before I do, I got to stop off, brush my teeth, and I recommend everybody listening, make sure you go ahead and brush those chompers before bed.
You guys have a good one. We will see you next week for another episode of Apex to Asphalt. Have a good one, and we'll see you next time. And we're clear.
All right. I am ready for Betty.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and start the download, and then we will... oh, Lord. Hold on.
You're going to have